had a brain bleed, a collapsed lung, I broke my back, my ribs. And the truth is, by the time actually my mom had got to Florida, the paramedic that had been with us came to visit, and he started to cry when he saw my mom, and he couldn't believe I was actually alive. As he put Spencer down on the bed, he goes, change it to a category 1, he's not breathing. And in a flash, it's like I became outside my body. I physically remember walking out of the room as the whole room filled.
Hand in Hand explores life's toughest moments and the resilience that carries us through. I'm your host, Amanda Spiro. Together, we'll dive into stories of grief, healing, and hope, blending timeless Jewish wisdom with personal journeys and universal truths. Let's navigate life's challenges and uncover the paths that lead us to greater meaning and connection. Welcome back to the Hand in Hand podcast. I'm Amanda Spiro, your host. Today, I have the honor and privilege of having one of my closest friends, Randi Lando, with us today. I met Randi at a challah bake, actually for a mutual friend who lost a child, and I was asked to speak at her yurt site. Randi was asked to make the challah, and we just connected right away. It was love at first sight, and she shared with me her incredible story of resilience. And right when I met her, I said, this story just needs to be shared with the rest of the world. So we're here today. I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for coming all the way to New York.
Thank you.
So we're going to just jump right in.
Let's do it.
So tell us about July 25th, 2016. Bring us back.
Bring you back. So I was in Florida on vacation for my 30th birthday with my now husband, then boyfriend. We were heading back. A few girlfriends had got us like a few nights in the Keys as a birthday present. It was beautiful. We had a lovely 2 days, and we were heading back to basically homestead in Miami. And on our way, we were actually in a head-on collision where my husband had to be cut out of the car, and I had no recollection of what happened.
Was he your husband at the time?
No, he was not. He was my boyfriend at the
Right.
time. Yes.
Okay.
Very important part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
From there, we were helicoptered to a trauma center in Miami, where we later found out that unfortunately the car that we were in the collision with, the two people, the driver and the passenger, happened to pass away. On top of that, I had withstood some pretty terrible injuries. I was in the ICU for about a week. I had a brain bleed, a collapsed lung. I broke my back, my ribs. I lacerated my kidney, my liver, my spleen. I lost a kidney. And the truth is, by the time actually my mom had got to Florida, the paramedic that had been with us came to visit, and he started to cry when he saw my mom, and he couldn't believe I was actually alive. Josh was okay in the sense he had a broken collarbone and some bumps and bruises, but overall, I really took the brunt of it.
Right. And how long were you in the hospital for?
I was in the hospital for a total it was 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
but then it was like I couldn't travel, so I had to stay for an added week. And then I was very thankfully able to go home. But during my stay in the hospital, once I got out of ICU and into a regular room, Josh actually proposed. It was crazy. I was sitting in the bed, and all of a sudden I hear my now mother-in-law say to him, "Only if you're for real." And she drops him this little bag,
Mm-hmm.
and he pulls out this ring from a gift shop, which happens to be a ring that was designed by our favorite artist. And he just proposed in front of both sets of parents.
And how long were you guys dating for at this point?
9 months.
Wow.
It was short. Yeah.
Wow.
But like he always says, there was never going to be a right time. So that was the right
Those
time.
are the moments that you just realize exactly what you want.
Yeah. He was like, it just took, I absolutely knew I could not live without you. I almost lost you, and I wasn't going to.
And your parents were on board? They weren't nervous about they're just so vulnerable, just went through so much. Are they making the right choice? They've only been together for 9 months.
We'd only been together for 9 months, and we've actually known each other since we're babies. Our parents have been friends for well over now 30, 40 years. So everybody was very much so on board, very happy. It was like a turning of the page. Truly, it was something terrible to something so
Right.
joyous.
And how much after that did you guys get married?
4 months later.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't want to wait.
Right.
It's not that it was so much, we didn't rush, but it was just like, let's do this.
Right. Okay. So then you got married.
We got married. We had a beautiful simcha with all our friends, family from Israel, from the States. Everybody came in. It was just really exceptional. From there, we really decided, before that, we knew we wanted to have a family. The size of it, a little unknown, and we were just kind of going to let it take us wherever. However, things didn't go as smoothly as, I think as like you're kind of taught, in school. It's like, this is going to happen and you're going to have a baby. Unfortunately, it wasn't so easy for us. Within I would say the beginning, the first 2 years of trying, we suffered 2 miscarriages. And then we started some fertility treatments, just things were taking long and there was no definitive answers as to why we weren't getting pregnant or being able to keep a pregnancy. So we started down that road where I just really by some miracle got pregnant on my own.
And how did you handle these miscarriages?
They were really difficult because at the time it just felt like more time was going by. And like we already knew how fragile life was and we just wanted to kind of start a life, start our family and be there. And it was like, it felt like, another obstacle.
Right.
And actually it was after my second miscarriage, I was invited to Shabbos dinner at my rabbi's. He had an out-of-town guest who was going to be doing the sermon at the shul on Shabbat. And as we were leaving, Josh and I kind of said like, oh, we should go listen. This turned into probably, it was like a year, 18 months, basically until COVID, of us going literally every Saturday. We would go really just to listen to the sermon, to see like what he was going to say. Being that like Josh and I, we don't understand Hebrew. We don't know the prayers, but we felt like we can still get something religious, traditional,
felt like a sense of comfort just being there.
Exactly. Just to be there and to listen and to be part of. And our rabbi and Rebbitzin was just like amazing and super warm. And that's just what we did. Literally every Saturday. Didn't matter what we were doing. Get up, get dressed, walk over.
That was actually like a big part of my journey also. When my friend passed away, the first thing I did was started to go to shul. It made no sense. I never enjoyed going to shul before, but I just sat there and I felt like the silence brought me comfort. Just being there.
Yeah. And at first it was like nobody really knew who we were. And then little by little, like Josh would have an aliyah. I would be sitting and talking with the ladies and it just became part of like our weekly schedule.
Right.
So from there,
COVID happened.
But previous to COVID is, so when I did get pregnant, I had a beautiful, normal pregnancy. Everything was great. Was I anxious and nervous given my history? Of course. But, like every appointment, every ultrasound, every test was a milestone. And it was beautiful to get there. Our son, Spencer, was born March 12th, 2019, seemingly healthy and beautiful. Like just, he was just so beautiful. Everything was really great. Or so we thought. We went home. We were so excited. We had all our visits, the local CLSC, I'm not sure, like nurses from the hospitals come to visit, to follow up, to make sure, like new mom, new baby, new dad, everybody's doing good, baby's healthy. We did the checks. And then about 6 days in, I remember saying to Josh, and I was just like, something's not right. He wasn't feeding very well, wasn't like waking up to feed. There was like a few things. I was like, I just want to take him to the doctor.
Was Josh nervous?
He had expressed a little bit in the, I would say early days, earlier than day 6.
Right.
A few things, but the truth was, I thought they were normal, and I was being reassured by all these people that he's fine. I was clearly a little uneasy. He was more vocal about it. So we said, like, let's take him to the doctor on that day 6, where we did. And he was still pretty confident, like the doctor, that he's okay. Told us what to do. Should we feel anything? He was going to call us the next morning after he gave us his instructions, which he calls us. I tell him, like, he's like a little bit better. But what was happening with Spencer was like one thing would be better. His eating would be better. but he wasn't waking up for it, or he was having like a lot of wet diapers, but he was like, he wasn't eating, or this, like, it was like one thing or another. We never got like a consistent where they're supposed to doing, like babies are supposed to, they say, what do? They eat, sleep, poop, repeat, right? We weren't getting everything going like consistently. So he said in his opinion that he was in no acute danger, and call me should you need me. Otherwise, I'll see you at your 2-week appointment, which is now a week away. So we scheduled his bris. The moil saw him, said, his belly looks a little distended. We said, we know, we've been to the doctor. We're actually going to go back today because at this point, I'm really feeling like beside myself. I don't like what he looks like. So he says, okay, you're on top of it. You're good. We had a beautiful bris. Truly, it was beautiful. Was I a nervous wreck? I was beside myself the whole time. I couldn't, I'm looking at my watch. What time is it? What time is it? When's this appointment? It's over. We're all kind of sitting down with family. And I said to Josh, I was like, you know what? I don't want to wait till the appointment. I want to go to the hospital. He said, okay, let's go. So we went home really quickly, got changed. And away we went. And there went what felt like the fastest 72 hours of my life. And really, I would say the worst. From the moment we got in, it was in panic again. I didn't even know how bad the situation was. I had a very lovely nurse take me to the back. Josh was parking the car. He's going to come in. He calls what's a category 2. I don't know anything from 1 to 10. I don't know what he's saying. And then all of a sudden he quickly changes it as he puts Spencer down on the bed. And he goes, change it to a category 1. He's not breathing. And in a flash, it's like I became outside my body. I physically remember walking out of the room as the whole room filled. I remember calling Josh, come in, he's not breathing. Like no one's believing what I'm saying. I can't believe the words that are coming out of my mouth. They're asking me 1,001 questions.
It's going over your head.
Within a matter of 30 minutes, we were transferred up to the pediatric intensive care unit where they've told us that they suspect he has a disease called Hirschsprung's disease. The medical term of that is it's the inability to pass stool on your own. So you're missing these things called ganglion cells. It's like we all have them. And if you don't, it's really found out within the first 24 to 48 hours, because one of the things on the hospital checklist is babies aren't allowed to leave without passing what's supposed to be an independent stool, whereas Spencer wasn't independent.
But they didn't catch this.
They didn't tell us, like, should he not in the next 24 to 48 hours come back? So as we did, we went to the doctor. We had a nurse in the house. So we believed, okay, he's okay, even though we felt he wasn't. It was only until it was actually day 9 that I was like, no. And that's how we ended up at the hospital. From there, he had emergency surgery. He was so sick, he actually couldn't even be moved to an OR. It was done in his room in the PICU unit by the most incredible team. It's like beyond. First surgery went well as it could, and we were told now we wait. So we wait. This is Thursday. It was Friday morning, I guess, in the middle of the night. They tell us things are happening. We don't like what's happening. He needs another surgery. So they do this other surgery. We sign all the papers, and I'll never forget. I had to ask the doctor. My sister works in social work, and I'm trying to ask him, like, what do I need to be prepared for at this point? And he couldn't even say it to me. He just says, your baby is very, very sick. Said, okay.
And what were your thoughts at this point? If there were any.
I don't know if there were.
Frozen.
I think I was really frozen.
Numb, probably.
Yeah. Because if it wasn't to do with Spencer, I couldn't even speak.
Right.
And it's not even that I was overcome with crying. I was just
shock, utter shock.
Complete shock. From that second that they said he's not breathing, it was like when my self came out of myself, I was just a walking being. And my only decision and my only care was him. So when I had to ask this to the doctor, I couldn't even formulate the words. My sister, thank God, was there, and she said to him, like, she needs to know exactly what she's preparing for right now. And that's what he said to me. And I said, okay. And I took a step back. They did what they had to do. And again, it was a situation of now we wait. Now we're on Friday, and we have our rabbi come, our cantor, who we're very close with, another rabbi of ours, more of like a friend. He comes by. We asked our community to please pray. The synagogue held a special prayer that night on Shabbat for services. We asked everybody, as many people as we could, to go, while still asking to maintain like privacy during this. Like, we don't need everyone starting to ask us what's going on, but just whoever you pray to, whatever you do,
Right.
just do it.
Right.
And literally, we had people all over the world. It was wild, really, really, really wild and amazing, just incredible.
Were you hopeful at this point?
I was always hopeful, but I think I was really realistic. I remember them, like, I always go back to the moment where they said he's not breathing. I knew that was it. Whereas my husband, he never even went there. And I don't think out of not being realistic, I just think it was my own intuition. I was like, he's never coming home. Like, I knew it even after like the first one, they were like, okay, now we wait. When the second thing happened, and I was like, and then there was a subsequent, it was Saturday, 3 a.m. Again, they came to us and said, things are really not looking good. We have to do another surgery. I said, okay. And then we get to the last few hours where they say, basically, this surgery, within the next few hours, things will take a turn or they won't. Because at this point, he's no better from the moment we walked in. 0. So it was, I think it was about 10 a.m. And I remember Josh looks at me and his doctor without realizing what he says and what she says in return. And he says, I just want to hold him. She says to him, it's something we'll have to talk about, I think. But again, he has no idea what this means. She goes, let me go finish his assessment. So we're standing in the hallway. It's just us. And I kind of start to explain to him, and I say, like, how much are we going to do? It's not fair. Depending on what she's about to tell us, we need to have a decision. I think it was the first time he like came down to what was actually happening. And he looks at me, and it's funny because he'll say to me, today, I don't remember saying that. And it's like part of that. It's like embedded in me. And he looked at me and goes, I don't know how to be a 35-year-old man who's going to have to sit chip. And I remember just taking his hands and saying, like, whatever it is, we're doing it together. So they came back to us and told us truly there was nothing left. The one thing they could try, it was a 1% chance of it working. And the truth was he was so sick, they don't know what happened to his brain throughout this. And that it was like, it's not like they said it was an 80% chance of this working. So we had already made our decision, and we told our family who was with us, and they supported us. And they told us, we'll get him ready. You can hold him. And we did. Whoever was there came in, said whatever they wanted to say, kissed him, touched him. And then my brother-in-law, he came in. He said, Shema. And then it was just the two of us. And I said, we each had our moments. And I just said to the doctors, had so many things on him. And I said, it's time to just take it off.
Mm-hmm. And how quickly after?
I think it was about 15 minutes. It wasn't long.
And then what was that moment for you? Even though you were anticipating it, but once it actually happened?
I think a part of it was relief for him. A big part of me was still in big shock.
For sure.
You know, we were in the hospital. They let us stay for quite a while before we're like, okay, we left. But I remember walking out, and they give you this beautiful box, and they have some beautiful things they do with you. You have a bear. He has a bear. You write a note, and then you switch bears. So he stays with your bear. A few things. They take his hand prints and footprints, and you get to keep them. They cut his hair. Stuff that you would never have otherwise, right? So I remember walking out, and I just looked at Josh, and I guess it's like that beginning portions of grief where you're just angry. And I was like, I walked in with a baby, and I'm walking out with a box. And I was like, what is even happening? And that was the beginning of living without him. Went home, opened our doors to everybody who was kind of waiting on bated breath to be able to hug us.
And at this moment, were you angry? I mean, you said there was a little bit of anger there.
I think
Like asking
came
God,
and
like,
went.
why? Why did this happen to me? I just went through a car accident. I survived this. And now this. Did you have those thoughts in your head? Like what was going on?
Maybe not day one. I think it took a while.
Mm-hmm.
It really did.
You had to process, internalize
Yeah.
what was going on.
Because it was so fast. Like, what is 10 days? In the grand scheme of life, what is 10 days? And it was really 7 days, because it was 7 days at home, or it was really 5 days at home. It was 2 days in the hospital and 2.5 days at the end. So what was it? It was so quick. You know, those first days after having a baby, it's like, oh my God, all of a sudden they're a month old. And you're like, how did that happen? So I guess it was really processing everything that happened. And then kind of feeling like, how did this happen? There was a lot of that. Like, how did this happen? This really felt like human error, like at first, you know? The one thing that we did to kind of, I would always say it like heals a piece of our heart every time we do it, was from the moment he passed away, it was like we knew so many of his organs weren't okay, but it was like Josh said, like, can we donate his heart? It was the only thing that was viable. They said they checked and there was no 3-kilo baby at the time who needed a heart. So we said, okay. We had all bought a month-long parking pass because we really believed we were going to be there. So instead of just throwing them in the garbage, we actually gave them to 4 of the families that were in the PICU that were there already a long time and we're going to be in the hospital for a while. The next day we went to our like local funeral home to plan, and they asked us, as they often do at the end, is there any donations or anything you'd want to do? And instantly we said we want a fund set up at the hospital, because we felt the care they gave him, it was truly as if he was their own, beyond exceptional. And with him, with us, till this day, 6 years later, we're actually really close with them. And it was like, during Shiva, we raised all, like I say, raised, that people donated so much money in his name and his honor. And then it was like little by little, that is what was going to become his legacy, in a way, for us, in a world where we can't do anything physically for him, but we can. And we found every way to do it. And bit by bit, that fills the space where he is, right? So we've held like beautiful events, raised a lot of money, but more than that, we know, because we've spoken of his story so much, he's literally saved lives.
Right. His soul's really living on.
Yeah.
Right?
Tell
they
me.
say the soul's eternal.
It's amazing. Somebody told me they read the story that I posted. I think it was on his first birthday. It was the only time I really posted the actual full story. And this person happened to be pregnant, doesn't know me. She just read it. She was having a baby a few days later. Crazy. She has a baby. Her sister-in-law gets in touch with me, telling me like, what's going on? What would you do? I tell her what I would do. Lo and behold, he has the same disease as Spencer. But she would have had no idea what this was. Very close friends of mine.
And this is such a rare disease, correct?
Yeah. Friends of mine have said, like, I just was unsure. They brought their kids to the hospital and there was something wrong with them. And they said, I honestly, if it wasn't for you, I would never have gone.
Right.
I said, it wasn't me, it was him.
Right.
If it wasn't for him.
All this awareness after he passed away.
In so many facets.
Right. Okay. So then you came home, you had the funeral, you decided to sit Shiva.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, what did your grief journey look like?
It evolved. At first, I
still
had
evolving,
a terrible
right?
fear. Yeah, it still evolves. I think it changes all the time.
Right.
I had a terrible fear of being alone. Terrible fear at the first. That almost made it worse, because I felt like I was alone in those first moments in the emergency room. And from that moment on, I did not want to be alone. I didn't necessarily want to talk to anybody. I just needed somebody there with me. At first, the first, like, I would say like month, 6 weeks, I was just sad. Like sad for him more than me. Like sad that this happened to him. How did this happen? And I just kept questioning, like medically, not any other way. Just like, how did this go down? Like, I just don't understand it. little by little, we got answers. Did it make me feel better in the sense that I had the answers? Yes. Did I feel better in the way I was sorry? No. If I went to visit him for a long time, that's all that came out of my mouth was, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And I remember saying, I wonder if that will ever change.
And has
It's
changed?
changed.
It's changed. How so?
I think it's changed because the way the grief's changed. You know, I've said it so many times. He's made me a better person.
You're the best. I'm your biggest fan. You know that.
But he really has. Like, without him,
you wouldn't have done all the things you've done.
I wouldn't have done all the things I've done. I wouldn't be the wife I am. I wouldn't now be the mother that I am. You know, because of him. Would I change it in a nanosecond? But that would mean so much else would change too. So what would life be without him and without what I have today? So it changes, and there's moments where, you know, when my son was born, he was born 16 months after Spencer died. Obviously, it was a very trying time. Grief was changing. It was very ever present, but it was like from the moment he was born, it was joyous. It was amazing. And I remember coming home and like counting up to his bris, the 10 days, the everything, and kind of feeling like I was put right back to day one when Spencer died. I definitely had moments where it's so bittersweet, you know? But again, coming to and realizing, who am I without him, and who is my now son and Samuel without Spencer?
Mm-hmm. I know we've spoken about this so many times about everything happens for a reason. And I know that triggers you so much. Because when you're always sharing your story, you kind of make it sound like everything does happen for a reason. You have so much gratitude towards that. But just that saying.
At first, it's so hard to hear.
Right.
Right. I think anyone who's experienced loss and somebody says everything happens for a reason.
You don't want to hear it.
What reason was this? So,
right.
Like, really? I had to go through this? I haven't at that point felt like I've been through enough. How could you say that to me? And it's not that I would take it personal, but I was just like, get like an ugh. Right. Like, don't say that. It also almost made me feel like he wasn't important enough. Like, in the way you say, like, everything happens for a reason. Like, what? So he wasn't important enough to stay? Like, you don't look beyond the words of it. But now I can say I still don't say everything happens for a reason, but it's like because of.
Right. It's just a different way of shift.
Yeah. I guess it's the words. Right. Maybe the sayings just triggering.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But it's because of. Everything is because of him now. You know?
Right. He's impacted your life in so many different ways.
Every way.
Wow. And what about you and Josh? Like, throughout this whole period of grieving, did it bring you closer together?
There was times it brought us closer, times it brought us further apart.
Right, because sometimes people go inwards during these periods of time and they don't want to like talk to anyone, even their own husbands.
Yeah, it was very important. We always said, like, from the get-go. I remember getting ready to go to the funeral home to plan the funeral. And I said to him, like, he can't be the reason we fall apart. Because that cannot be his legacy. That cannot be the meaning of this. And it was like, we all, like, when people would ask us about our grief, it was like, there was yours, mine, and ours. And we each gave each other the space to have the ours, like, or the yours, I should say. It took us a long time to kind of find the ours, because you have to learn each other's, like what I say, your cha-cha again, because everything changes. And I'm not an overly emotional person. So for me, it wasn't like natural for me to just like sit with him in emotion. And he is, I would say, the complete opposite. He is not an emotional person. So it's not that I felt that he didn't care. I knew he cared. I knew it impacted him. But I was kind of waiting for the break for him. So we went away on a vacation that we thought would be just good to get away and kind of reset, connect, and whatever. And that for him was, I would say, like his grief rock bottom.
Right. He went through a really hard time.
Yeah. So till this day, he actually goes to the cemetery every single day.
Right.
Every day. Just quickly. He says, he gives a quick hello. He gives him a kiss. He turns around, he rolls down his window, says, Papa loves you. I'll see you tomorrow. It's just his thing.
And what about you? Like, what's your thing? What helps you throughout this?
My kids, and truly mine like is really the giving back portion.
Mm-hmm.
I feel him in that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like, as his mom, I won't let anyone forget him.
Right.
And the way I'm not going to is through all these small initiatives. Like, yes, we've had like 2 large
I was
galas.
just going to say, you've done pretty big
we've done
things.
some
I wouldn't
big-
call them small initiatives.
But then we've also done, I did like, I have a small challah business, and we did the month of March. A couple years ago, we made a special Spencer challah where all the money was donated to the hospital. Like nothing, no proceeds. It was just literally everything. We raised like $5,000 in challah. Like, it's wild, just from our small community, And then we'll do other things, like we sold teddy bears, the same thing. It was like just the little things, or having the opportunity to come speak. I've had the opportunity to speak in a few places at this point, and again, that's like the giving back through him, saying his name, people knowing his story, meeting people on the street, mentioning it. All you have to do is say his name. He goes, oh my God, I know his story. The baby, the breast, the this. And you're like, yes. And that is what it's all about, just to continue that.
Right. Doing things in his honor.
Yeah.
Right. So you've taken your pain and you've turned it into purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. And do you have anything upcoming?
His yurtzeit and birthday just passed. And then our next big thing, so that was 6, will be at 10 years. I don't know what it'll be yet. It always kind of comes to me. I like to say it also evolves. Our first one was this gorgeous adult gala. The last thing we did was a joyous, amazing children's carnival. It's growing with our family as it's growing. So we'll see. I don't know.
And your kids, tell us about your kids and how
kids,
they go through this.
My kids are amazing. So actually, each one of them, their names start with an S. It's not that they're named for Spencer, but it's a piece to carry with them. So I have Samuel and Savannah now. Tzvi and Ayelet. Yeah. And they each know about him. My son, who is so empathetic, so sensitive. He's
an old soul.
He is. He's my 4-year-old old soul. He really is. He's so special. We really started telling him about Spencer right away, before even he could comprehend anything. And we've made very special traditions. So like one of our biggest ones is like on his birthday, we go to the balloon store. Each one of them picks a balloon for him. The balloons then come home. They live in our house for 10 days. And on the anniversary of his death, we go to the cemetery. And the idea is they bought these balloons for Spencer, and they're going to give them to them, and they're going to go up to him. And my son, he asks these amazing questions, like an old soul, like someone who's asking me, like really wants to know what happened to him. He wants to understand why he can't be here anymore. Like, they're sometimes gut-wrenching questions for me, but
can you bring him home?
Yeah. He said to me the other day, like at the cemetery, can we bring him home? And I had to explain to him that it's, he has to stay here, by Jewish law, we're buried and this. And I said, and we always tell him, and he knows this, Spencer's everywhere. You could talk to him whenever you want. We have a special box we made. Because it was so few days, there wasn't many mementos, but we still had a whole room to deal with, right? So I couldn't fathom, there was no reason for me to get rid of everything, but there were certain things that were specifically bought for him, or he wore, or a blanket somebody bought for him that we had this special picture. So we bought this small, what do you call it? Like a nice box, a memento box. And we put all these stuff in there, and he's looked through it. It's actually in his closet in his room, and he knows it's his box, and it gives him the opportunity to be a little closer to him, and he's like, he just gets it. People say to me like, oh, it's so nice, but it's also double-ended. I hate that he knows all this, but also love that he knows this. And now he has the opportunity to explain it to my daughter, who's like more years removed from it, but he's still so present in my house. We have this I had this gorgeous wood piece made for behind Spencer's crib, and it was like in big white letters said his name. After he passed away, everybody asked me, what are you going to do with it? What if you can do with it? I said, I don't know. I'm not going to put it in my living room. It's huge. It's a lot. What am I going to do? And I had a good friend of mine say to me, I have an idea if you like it. So we actually removed Spencer. We put our last name in right big in the middle. It's going up our stairs, but on the bottom, it has each kid's name. So when my kids walk up, they'll say, Savannah, Sammy, Spencer. And my son always, this one's Spencer, right, Mommy? Or I have my necklace, I have my 3 S's, and he knows this one's Spencer, this one's Sammy, this is Savannah. Like, it's just ways of keeping him alive. Exactly. Present. That's what I always say. He has to stay present. I think that's always a fear for anyone who's lost somebody. How do you keep these people present? Because they're such big parts of your life. Right? Like,
right. We spoke about this on Shabbos, but really, the way to keep them alive is just by connecting even deeper and doing mitzvahs. That's really, you don't always need to do these huge events.
No.
Right? At the beginning, sometimes you have this energy and you want to like, you know, channel it in that way. But just by doing something good in their honor, saying their name, it really connects you and brings so much light into this world.
Exactly. So it's just, it's an evolving journey.
Right.
You know?
Right. And the Rebbe spoke so much about this, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, right? He spoke, you know, when his wife passed away, we just went to the Rebbe's house.
Yeah.
There were so many things that were done in her honor afterwards. Exactly. And so it's like we can never forget.
No. I always say, like, that's my mission now.
Right.
It is. It's part of it.
And what was the hardest part for you, or is the hardest part for you? Like, do you ever just have moments where you're like, I just can't do this anymore. This is too hard. This is unbearable.
I think I did at first a lot. I think there was a lot of like, and if like when you know me, you know I don't ask this question. It's like the why me?
Right. No, it's not you.
It's not me. And as things kind of like piled on, I would start to think like a little bit. I'm like, why me? Like, why is this happening?
Right.
Like, what did I do or not do or this? And I'm like, I didn't.
You did not.
I did nothing. And I believe that.
Right. It's just part of your journey, what you have to go through.
Yeah. And again, it just changes. So I just try and take each, what you could say, bad thing that's happened and try and turn it into something else. You know, I think it's a blessing. The car accident I was in, I told you the other night, I could have woken up and somebody could have told me anything they wanted to. I don't remember. Like, I have no recollection. I have one in the helicopter, one in the emergency room. That's it. Could have told me anything and I would have said, okay, what happened? Tell me. That's a blessing.
Right. Thank God. I want to bring up something very sensitive now.
Yep.
With your permission.
Absolutely.
So I know before you met Josh, he was a cocaine addict.
Yeah.
Right. And he went through the process, went to rehab, was a recovering addict when you met him.
Yeah.
But then throughout this whole journey, which was extremely difficult for him, he kind of went back.
Yeah.
And so what did that look like for you? And for him, you as a couple?
It was hard. It was really hard. So he relapsed a little bit, I would say like a year or two after Spencer. No. I think he really tried. I think he was lost in the grief to even think of using.
And Sammy was already born at this point?
Yeah. 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 And there was little things that would happen here and there and I would question. But when you're dealing with someone who's an addict, it's a mental health disease, right? But there's so much more that comes along with it. So much deeper. But on the surface, it's lies, deceit, mistrust. There's so much. And there's questioning. And then it's like we continue to build our lives. Like we have Samuel. Then we decided to have Savannah. And then it got to a point where it was like.
So even when Savannah was born, he was still struggling.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And little by little, it's not that I believed the lies, but it's like if in those early years of motherhood with such little kids, it's like I can't even focus on anything else, right? I need my 100% focus needs to be on them. And what I can give to that realm, I can give when I have it. And it kind of got to a point where I said, like, enough's enough.
So he was like checked out at this point? Or was he still involved?
Very involved.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is, most people would not know.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't for findings, I really wouldn't know. It wasn't my realm. It's not the scene I grew up in. I never saw any of this truly or learned about it until Josh. But the more I learned and the more I really realized was this is not just it's not a physical addiction. It's a mental addiction, and it's a mental health issue. So it's so deep. It's so complex. And I wasn't going to run at it full force with threats and this and that, because it's like, that's not what I wanted.
It's amazing how understanding you were, because most women wouldn't be.
Exactly. And I had friends telling me, like, you need to leave. You need to leave. And I'm like, that is not what I need. And that's not what he needs. And it's not what my family needs.
You were also just so connected to him. Like, you had such a soul connection from the beginning.
And there was no judgment.
Mm.
You know, it's not that I like agreed with it, but I understood. I understand this is like so much bigger than him.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a want.
Right.
And when he didn't want this, it took a lot of probing and pushing until finally I was like, there's no longer an option. And I flat out said, you can't stay here. I don't care where you go. I know where I prefer you to go, but you have to make that choice. I said, I will help you every single step of the way. You want me to look into places, you want me to call, find out, I will. I will give you the names, the phone numbers, anything you want. I will do it. I will be here. I will support you. But the choice is now yours. Thank God he made the best choice he could for himself, truly for himself. And he went for help. He went back into a rehab facility. My kids were just shy of 3. And my daughter was 8 months. So it really thrust me into a time of what it's like to be a single parent in that sense. I had to make the right decisions for them. It wasn't even about me at that point. It was really, what do I need to do to keep them safe?
Mm-hmm. Your kids are really what kept you strong throughout everything you went through.
If I didn't have them, I don't know what I would have done, truly.
Wow.
Really, really, really.
And where's Josh now?
Josh is sober, coming up almost on 2 years, thank God. And he puts in the work. He does what he has to do now. I think he's recognized, this is bigger than him. And he can't do it alone. And there's no need to do it alone. No, I'm not part of the program, like but I'm part of his program. And he knows I'm here, and I tell him all the time, I'm no judgment. I've never judged him. In a world where people, they think of addicts and they're judged. They're nobodies. They're like nothing. Losers. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Stop. Just stop.
You empowered him, which is what a Jewish woman's supposed to do.
Right. And it's not just stop. It's like, what do you need?
Mm.
Like, what's the root of it? Why?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like.
And your kids were clueless. Thank God.
My kids, thank God, are young enough to have no idea. But one day, you know what? He's really open. He talks to high school students about it and this.
Oh, wow.
And I hope he'll be just as open. And it's not going to be like shied away from.
Right. It's not something to be ashamed
like a
of.
learning experience that you hope, like, you don't hope your children go through that, but like, here, look what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be more aware of. And again, we're so open in the house about like everything. I can't imagine when the time does really come for that to be on the table, like just to be like, why does mommy have a glass of wine and you don't? What's the answer going to be? He'll be honest.
Wow. And I'm sure he appreciates you so much that you were just with him every step of the way. And I'm sure it brought you closer together.
I like to think so. Yeah. Because it's like we've been through
so much.
An unbelievable amount of things.
Yeah.
He's 40. I'm 38. And it's like, wow, we've lived too many lives in between these 10 years of being together. But it's definitely brought us closer in many ways. There's those moments where it brings you apart. You find your way back.
Right.
You're
committed.
Yeah. Like you said, so many people would just walked away, and then what?
Right. And throughout this grief experience, do you feel like you had the support you needed?
Yeah. I'm really lucky. We both have.
You felt like people understood what you were going through?
To an extent.
Mm-hmm.
Different moments.
Right.
The accident was like a physical healing. Right. People were there. It was amazing. It was also like wrapped with engagement and wedding, and it was like, oh my God. And everyone was just
I'm sure that was such a big part of your healing.
Yeah.
Just knowing you had something to look forward to, something
right.
big, something exciting.
And it's kind of like you're your friends, your family being so thankful for you. Like it's almost like in those moments you don't take for granted, and myself included, like it didn't have to be me in that car accident. It could have been my best friend, you know, to be thankful for all these things. And then as we continued on, it was like friends and family very close throughout, like the miscarriages, this. And then when Spencer died, it was the like entire community. You know, I used to joke before I met Josh, nobody knew me.
I didn't know who you were.
I flew under the radar. Exactly. You know, we had our accident and I became like, oh, did you hear about Josh Lando and his girlfriend? Like I didn't even have a name yet.
Right.
It was great. You know? And then it was Randi. Oh, you're Josh's girlfriend. Oh my God. I heard about the accident. I did this. And it was like, and then as things continued, almost like in some ways to get worse. And then everybody knew about Spencer.
Right.
And it was Josh and Randy's son. You know,
and your story has helped so many people. Like people look up to you in so many different ways,
exactly,
including myself. Really,
you know, and it's like it brought friendships closer together. It brought friendships further apart. You know, it's like the realization of like who's really there, who can handle it.
Was there anyone that you had to say goodbye to?
Yeah,
or you felt that wasn't there for you or didn't meet your expectations? That's painful.
And it wasn't so much expectations; it was just like, you know, in a world where I'm going to say like the proverbial they say that is the worst possible thing that could happen to somebody is a parent losing a child. It is completely out of order, completely out of order. And when some of your closest of friends just aren't there, what are they going to be there for then? And that was like a really hard pill to swallow. It's like they've been there for so much. And then like this awful thing you wish on nobody happens, and where are they?
Right. But it's in those moments that you have so much perspective that you see who's your friends, who's not your friends,
and
what you
like,
want in your life, what you want your life to look like.
And I didn't actually allow myself to grieve those friendships. There was no space for that. You know, I often say to you, it's like I don't hold space for those people. It's not worth it. It's those who filled my cup during those times and were there in any way that they could be there that I hold space for.
And I know throughout your journey, you've connected more to Judaism and to the rituals. And you started a challah business. That's how I met you.
Business, yeah.
You've taught me how to make challah.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So the challah was really like a labor of love through COVID. It started as a complete joke with neighbors. They were like, oh, I buy my challah here. This is the best challah. I was like, guys, I'm going to make you challah. You're going to see I'm going to make you challah. And someone was like, oh my God, you should sell this. I was like, guys, I'm not selling challah. Like, come on. Right. And then all of a sudden I was selling like 300 challahs a week. And I called my cousin who happened to be on mat leave. And I was like, you're going to be my COVID buddy. Let's go. The kids are going to lie together. And I'm going to teach you how to make challah. And it evolved into this amazing community little shop, you know. And honestly, through you and doing the challah with you, learning the blessing and everything, it kind of
So before our challah bake together, you weren't like so familiar with like the deeper significance of baking challah.
Exactly.
Why we bake challah?
Like I knew a little bit, right? I knew the significance of the braiding and like how important it was to make it on Shabbos. I knew it was a mitzvah,
right?
But I didn't know.
Wow. And then ever since then, you've been saying the bracha each and every time.
Exactly.
So every week.
Yeah.
And you connect with this.
It's like it makes the challah more meaningful. It's knowing where it's going now. I've always found it therapeutic. Always. I get lost in it. You know, some people tell me like when we first, you're like, it's so stressful. I'm trying to make it so good. And I'm this. I'm like, let's relax. Like it's just
always going to turn out good.
Yeah, exactly. No matter what. And like you learn something, right? That's like my biggest thing. No matter what happens, challah, life, you're going to learn something. Good or bad. But next time you'll do it differently.
And lighting Shabbos candles. You started lighting Shabbos candles after as well.
Yeah, I used to do it here and there, truthfully. Right. It never became so much of a thing. And now it's like.
And a little birdie tells me you do it every week.
A little birdie tells me every week.
My daughter's friend.
Yeah. And now I have a Neshef partner. She calls me every Friday. She's so sweet. Reminds me, lets me know what time to light. And it's become more important. My son's starting kindergarten. He's going to be going into Jewish school. And I think it's important to start to show him like, we're more traditional, but we have to do the traditions. Like, it doesn't take so much out of you to light the candles. You know, we're home on Fridays anyways. We like, and the truth is, both my kids are so excited. Guys, you want to light the candles? Yeah. And they like run over, you know? Little by little, they're going to learn the significance of it. They do it in school now, but they don't know yet. But it'll just be part of Friday, part of Shabbat.
Right. And the last mitzvah that was entrusted to the Jewish women is going to the mikveh.
Yes.
So you went to the mikveh before you got married.
Yeah, I went before I got pregnant with Spencer and after. After being more, probably like the most moving.
What was
hard
moving about it?
Really hard also.
It's very vulnerable.
Yeah, and it also felt almost like, in a sense, it was a part of the last part of loss, in the way of like, it felt like it was like cleansing him, like from me almost. It was like, and not in a bad way. It just was like very, like this surreal feeling. It was crazy, really. I didn't expect it. I understood why, like, to go and whatever, and I spoke about it with our then Rabbitson, and she came with me. She was amazing, but it was difficult. It really was. And that was really the last time we went, and now we're talking about going again.
We just got a tour.
Yeah, we got a beautiful tour here in Crown Heights.
Yes.
Gorgeous.
Thank God we have a beautiful mikveh in Montreal as well.
Exactly. It's like I keep saying it, and I've said it to you this weekend so much. Just, it's the things that fill your cup. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. But I think that's something that's so beautiful about Judaism. You know, it's like you don't have to go to the most extent if you can't, or it's too hard.
It's baby steps.
It's little things that you do that kind of keep you connected.
Right. Every mitzvah you do is a pipeline to Hashem, is connecting to God.
Yeah. Like, I love coming over for Shabbos to you guys. It's so nice. And every time we leave with something, like something more that we didn't know before, you know?
If someone is struggling during any big challenge in life, what would you say to them?
Rome wasn't built in a day. Be in it. Feel it. It's okay.
Right. It's so important.
It's
Most
so
people push
important.
it away.
Yeah.
I've noticed that.
Don't. Take it baby steps. God willing, there's tomorrow. And tomorrow is what will be your plan tomorrow. You know, it doesn't have to be, again, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It will work itself out. Not my line of everything happens for a reason, but you'll find your way through it. You'll find your why.
You also speak so much about how you became a better person. And we've spoken about this many times, but that you connected more with yourself. You became more self-aware. You weren't as in tuned beforehand. So how did that happen?
I first stopped overanalyzing and over caring about what other people thought about what I did or didn't do. Because it was like, truly, it had no bearings on me. Like, it made no impact. What was it going to change what somebody else thought of me? What did I think of myself? Was I happy with my actions? Am I proud? I wanted to make Spencer's legacy and make him proud and have something and build something. It was never about me. In turn, it helped me. You know, it grounded me more. It made, I say, like, it made me a better person. It made me more giving. It made me more loving. It made me more empathetic, you know, in so many ways. And it just, I've met so many people through this journey, you included. Like, look what we've gone through together in a short years of friendship, you know, loss, love, like great love, just amazing things. And to just be thankful for them. Like, I'm so lucky. Never realizing how lucky you are. Like, that makes you better, right? I have the best family. I have the few friends I do have that I really hold close. They are like the most, they're everything. And they're like quality people. They're not just like somebody I see every 6 months and talk to never. Like, I really try to surround myself with the people that build me up and not like tell me like, oh, you're beautiful. Oh, that dress is so nice. This is so great. It was like, oh my God, you're doing this event, or oh my God, let's go do this together. There's something great going on at the synagogue. You want to go to the event together? Like something, like anything. like good things. And those things make you better.
Right. So you're careful who you surround yourself with.
Very careful. And that's
putting yourself in this
mainly-
like conducive environment for growth.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to be with people who don't bring anything.
Right.
But I think I learned that after Spencer.
Right. You're not into small talk also.
Oh, no.
It's like all or nothing.
Yeah, it is. We don't have to be like in depth all the time.
Right.
But like, if we don't ever go there, what's the basis of a relationship?
Right. So through Spencer, you were able to like access your godly soul.
And my confidence.
Right. So what do you think it was that brought out this confidence?
I'm not sure. I guess like every incident, little by little, learning about things truly, and just wanting to be the voice for so many different areas.
Right. I think it's also like trying to be someone else all the time and trying to fit in. But when you're just like in alignment with yourself and you're doing what you need to do, you feel more connected to yourself. And that's what really brings confidence.
Exactly. And if you believe in what you're doing, you're confident in what you're doing. I had a few friends coming in. They're like, "Are you nervous? Are you this?" I'm like, "No, why would I be nervous
for this podcast?"
Yeah. I'm like, "I'm not nervous." They're like, "How do you do it?" They're like, "You speak so well. You this." I'm like, "Thank you so much." But you would too. Like, I'm talking about things that mean so much to me.
And you're passionate about it.
Exactly.
And this is part of your purpose now.
Exactly.
Of spreading awareness.
100%.
So I just want to touch back upon the anger piece because it's very natural to be angry when you go through things like this, especially in your case when you've already been through so much. But then afterwards, you connected to God. You started doing different practices that connected you and helped you throughout all this. Was there ever like a moment where you were angry with God or trying to understand? Like, how did that evolve in your mind?
And the truth is, when specifically related to Spencer, I was never mad at God.
You're just mad.
No, and I was mad at people. Like medical professionals let me down. We were told, they're doctors, they know best, right? They let me down. I never felt like, again, I never said why me, because it's not why me, it's why anybody. That should happen to nobody. I was mad at them. And that was part of my saying sorry to Spencer. It had nothing, it didn't interfere. I think later by saying like, when I say like he made me better, that's a different area. Right. That doesn't have to do with people.
Do you feel like you still hold on to that anger? Like that still takes up space for you?
Sometimes, not always.
And how do you deal with that? Those moments, because that's hard.
It's hard. But I'm very much of the type of person, like I don't hold grudges. I don't do that. I let myself feel the way I'm feeling in that moment. And then I let it go. Right. I can't change it. Right. So there's no point of holding on to it, to carry that like heaviness. It's never, that part of it will never go away. I'll always have that. That's the part of the story that I'm angry with. I'm not angry with myself. I'm not angry with Josh. I'm not angry with anybody that came to visit him, that saw, didn't see, said, didn't say, at all. Right. Honestly, the only part of that story that angers me is how an entire system let me down. Right. Let him down, not me down. They let him down.
And do you feel like by connecting to God in a deeper, more meaningful way, that it's been easier for you to like let go a bit, like almost trusting that God's orchestrating things? And
in the way when I say like it's made me a better person,
right?
Something made
that you were
me a
meant to
person.
go through this,
in somehow.
You obviously, wish that you didn't go through this, but you went through this. You were able to see the hand of God in many moments of things that happen, and
had moments where like I feel Spencer more also because of that. When you feel more connected.
Right. But they say a relationship continues on even
forever.
After the passing, but you have to nurture that relationship. You have to connect to the soul. You have to connect to soulful things.
Yeah. And it's at different moments and different times. And I'm not always that person that like, oh, I had this sign and I just really that. But I've had 2 or 3 moments in the last 6 years that I'm like, oh my God, I really feel him here. Because I don't, like, for me, it's not like a God thing where I say like he's not around. That's not it. It's if I feel him. When I tell my kids you could talk to him, he's everywhere, he's anywhere. I believe that. But it's personal moments where I've truly felt him, where I know there's something bigger.
But essentially, you've made a choice. You've made a choice to be positive, to grow around this grief, to become a better person, to connect on a deeper level. And this is ultimately what is giving you the strength to keep going and to give other people strength. You've been so supportive to so many different people that have gone through losses similar to yours. And that, I believe, is a big part of your mission and your purpose.
To be honest, like growing up, like we just joked, we came from the same community, but like I knew who you were, but you had no idea who I was. When I say I flew under the radar, I flew under the radar. But since then, not. And I was never the person to do like public speaking, this, that. Like I really was like in the background. I was happy there. Like I knew my place there. I had firm feet. But it was like I jumped 2 feet and I jumped 2 feet in without even like.
You don't even think about it.
I don't
it's
think
like,
about
I'm
it.
meant to be doing this.
This is, yeah.
You're so certain and confident.
Yeah. Whereas like 11 years ago, that was not me.
We sometimes find ourselves through these really difficult challenges.
And I hope to be able to be that advocate for people and that voice for people, whether it's like through an awful accident where, look, 2 people died. That's nothing. That's not small anything. We had to live through that with that. It's losing a child, fertility. These are all like things and they happen. Addiction. How many wives of addiction are there? Partners, families, but I chose to educate myself, truly educate myself. While he was gone, I was doing my own work.
And what does your work look like today? Because the work doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. And it's
inward
evolved.
Work. Right.
Also, like going back to the work that I did for Spencer and grief, I was part of a beautiful women's group, a perinatal infant loss group. It was amazing. Josh and I were both part of a couples group of people who lost children. We actually started the first and only men's group in Montreal for men who have lost children. It still goes on today. They have members from all over the world that Zoom in. And there was nothing for them. So it's like just an added thing. Like we've done that. With the addiction, there's many groups families can go to, this, that. For me at that point, it was like I knew my people. Like I had my community. I didn't feel the need to necessarily go. Some people do, and that's okay. But I too am an advocate and have friends and have met people that I can talk to with, and vice versa, who have said, Randi, maybe you can talk to them. They're going through a really hard time with their brother, with their nephew, with their sister, with their, like, through your knowledge and experience. What did you do? It's not that I like know it all by any means, but I've really as each obstacle has happened, I've immersed myself in it. And how can I be of help to other people?
Right. You're a woman of action.
Yeah. I didn't internalize it and again say, why me? I was like, what can I do?
Right. But
How can I
action
help
does
me?
breed confidence.
Yeah.
By doing, and kind of sometimes just by being there for others, you receive so much more in return, just like getting out of yourself.
Exactly.
And that's really.
And that was so not me.
Right. I'm sure it was so beautiful in a way to find your light that maybe was like dimmed before.
100%. I think I always wanted to be the person that like someone can turn around and think of, like how many times somebody like said, my friend's friend or this, that, they lost somebody or a baby or this. Can they call you? Or fertility, can they call you? This, that. It's like, yes.
It's a full-time job.
Please. Literally.
It's a full-time job.
It can be at times, and you want to be there. You want to be able to check in on people and not just be that one voice and then like, that's it. No, I'm here. And I mean that.
Right.
You
just mentioned checking in. It just came to mind that after you go through all these things, people check in all the time. Right? But then eventually kind of.
It lingers.
And how is that? Because you're still going through what you're going through. But in many ways, it's like a distant memory.
For some. Right. I think that's the part that's like.
And looks are deceiving also, right? Be like, oh, Randi's doing so well. And she's going here and she's going there. And she's up to this. And she just made this huge event. They don't feel the need to check in on you. But deep down, you're still struggling.
I think those that really know you do check in. There was a time like certain family members of mine at the very beginning. And I was like, I don't understand. Like I grew up with such close cousins, I'm like, where are they? Like in the beginning weeks. And I said something, which was so unlike me. And I said, and in a nice way, said, like, God forbid this would happen to you. I would call you, come, let's go for coffee. Let's do this.
I think people are
just
so
come sit with you?
uncomfortable around grief, right? We didn't discuss that, but
So
that's
uncomfortable. But you have to be there for these people. If that could be like a big piece of advice, if you're listening for a friend, family member, anybody, just be there with them in that space. You don't have to talk. You know, you could tell them, I'm afraid of saying the wrong thing. They'll appreciate it, because if maybe by accident you say the wrong thing, you don't know. You've already apologized for it. You don't mean to. And it's okay if they turn around and say to you, I really didn't like that you said that to me. And you could say, thank you so much for telling me. I will do better next time, or I'll try. You know, just be there with them in any shape of like any type of event that is happening to somebody. It doesn't have to be grief. Right. Just be there with them. And then, yes, it changes, right? As the years go on. It's not necessarily that people forget. It's just not at the forefront of their brains.
Right. Like people are very consumed with their own lives too.
Their families grow and they have like a hockey tournament. They have this on the day and this. And all of a sudden the day goes by. I myself have done it. You know, it's not just me who's gone through things. And I like to check into it. I'm like, oh my God, the date passed. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I call and I say, I'm so sorry. But like the person you're talking to understands.
Right. I think it's also so important when you're going through the grief to be able to be comfortable to reach out to people when you need the support. Right? Because people don't always know. And we have to judge favorably that everyone means well. Everyone wants to be there. And they just don't always know how. And it's just not always on their mind.
Yeah. Like I had to have a very like open conversation with my mother-in-law. I think it was the 2nd year anniversary of his death. And I said to Josh, and I was like, it's so weird. Your mom didn't call me today. And again, I'm not a confrontational person. I'm not that person at all. I said, I'm going to call her. And I called her and I said, like, you didn't check in. And she goes, you're right. I called Josh and I asked how you were, but I should have called you. I'm really sorry.
Right.
It was a very hard thing for me to do, to step out of my comfort zone. But I got in return exactly what I needed.
And I'm sure she's so much more supportive now.
And she always was. It was just like she didn't realize. And that's the thing that people don't, and even those so super close to you don't realize. So it's like, don't hold the expectation.
Expectations limit you.
Yeah. And it's okay because everybody has their things. As long as you're there and you remind them. It's like I said before, those people who I lost throughout all these things that weren't really there or showed up and then would be gone just as like yentas, like, and then left.
They weren't necessarily meant to be in your life on this part of your journey.
No. And I'm not upset about it. It's okay.
Right. Let go and let God.
Yeah. It's my mother-in-law's favorite here.
It's mine also.
Okay. She says it all the time.
Looking back at the very beginning with Spencer, is there anything that you wish you did differently or something you would tell a parent that's going through something similar?
I don't want to say I wish I did things differently, but trust your gut. Trust your gut, your intuition. You know, there's always like people say like, oh, mother's intuition, but just in general, trust your gut. Ask questions. Don't be afraid. You know, especially for the little voices who can't speak for themselves, ask. There's no wrong question. And if you really feel something's not right, push. Push for it. You know, we have that. We are their only advocates.
Right. Sometimes the medical system is very hard to navigate.
Yeah. It's really hard. And it's so easily that you're like overpowered by them.
Right. Or they're threatened by you as well.
Exactly. But if you really feel something, push.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared. You're their only advocate. You know, and that doesn't just apply to young children. Whether you're there with a friend, yourself, a parent, in any situation, advocate for yourself. Don't just be brushed under the rug. You know, it can change. It can change everything. One small question.
So Randi, thank you so much for coming here, for sharing your story, for being so vulnerable, real, raw, letting your guard down, shedding some tears. I know it's not always easy to share, but I know you know how important it is to get this story shared with the whole world because there's so many lessons that people can learn from you. I've learned so many myself, so I so appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I give you a hug?
Of course.
Wow, what a story. I wanted to add a couple of notes after reflecting on this episode. First, an important disclaimer about this podcast in general. This podcast features honest, personal stories that may include how someone engaged with Jewish practice, law, or traditions. The personal details of a guest's story are not meant to serve as religious rulings or instructions. Jewish law is complex, and what applies to one person may not apply to another. If you're looking for guidance on how Jewish law relates to your own life, we encourage you to reach out to a rabbi who can speak to your unique situation. Now, this wasn't my first time hearing Randi's story. I've been lucky to know her for a few years now, but hearing it again, the raw pain, the loss, and the growth that followed reminded me of something Judaism teaches. In Hasidic philosophy, we are taught that pain can be used as a catalyst for spiritual growth. While this seems like a noble idea, it is not always so simple and can feel like a heavy guilt, inducing burden on top of something like grief. So let's define the concept of growth. In the famous Shema prayer, we are commanded to love God with all of our heart, soul, and might. The word used for might is meodecha, which comes from the word meod, meaning very. Meodecha therefore means you're very. The message here is profound. Growth means going just a little bit beyond your comfort zone. It is your very, not someone else's. True spiritual growth isn't measured against others, but by how much we push ourselves slightly beyond where we were yesterday. In the healing process, we need to first acknowledge our limitations and then push ourselves just a very little bit. Everyone's push will be different, and that's okay. However big or small the growth, as long as it's a step beyond our current state, it is meaningful. Our comfort is extremely powerful, especially in the process of healing. It creates a safe space from which we can reach just a bit further. And that tiny step, your very, can be the greatest act of transformation. Randi shared that her son Spencer made her a better person in the 10 days she had with him and in all the days since. That's something I've seen in my own experiences with grief too. The way pain doesn't disappear, but it softens us, deepens us, and sometimes shapes our purpose. So if you're listening and you're in a place of grief, don't push away. Don't judge yourself for how long it's taking to get back to yourself. Let it be seen, let it be felt. And know that with many tiny steps at the right time, your pain can light a flame of goodness in this world that only you can bring. Thank you, Randi, for sharing your story. See you again soon.